Announcements first of all. So tonight we're gonna be going live as usual, but actually we're gonna go a little later because the first game's not till 7:30. So I guess we'll go about 6:30. And then tonight we have the 11 o'clock live sweat, which I'm really looking forward to, which is going to involve both sweating all the big DFS contests winding down, NBA, NHL, and then also kind of mixing into that, we're going to do a live lineup build for the PGA contest, which starts first thing in the morning. So that seemed to have worked out. It gives everybody a little bit of something. And and tonight is the Mega 8 special for $250K to first in the NBA. So it's a good thing to be sweating. And also it's good because, you know, there's two ways to kind of win that thing. One is what I call the springboard approach, where Bobby usually does this. He'll come in like 12th the night before and something and cash for like 4,400 and then be in contention for the big one. Or you could do what I did and play 40 lineups last night in the fadeaway and cashed in 2 of them for $50 total. So plenty of ways to get there. But hopefully tonight is a little different than last night, which I really didn't do anything funny. It just every play that I made just busted. Didn't matter how high owned they were. It didn't matter how middle owned they were. And it's funny. It looked like I was off to a good start. Then I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know who won, but whoever won, good for them. How did you do last night? And then we'll go right into today. Oh, before you do that, hold on. Before I get that, there was something good that happened. I actually got like 4th or 5th in the big NHL contest last night. And I could have gotten first, but overtime got me. But that'll be for another video.
Oh, that's nice though. Look, hey man, I would take a 4th or 5th in anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good night, and I wasn't overall like upset with my play. Like it was kind of hard to get away. Like on FanDuel, I played like a couple lineups, and I one lineup cashed fairly deep, and it was a 2v2 pivot off of my main lineup, which was my big buy-in one, which literally I think was 2 off of the money, 27th or whatever. And then on my DraftKings one, I cashed in the splash with 1 entry, but I didn't cash in the 555. Just didn't quite get there. I didn't quite have the right mix. I don't feel like it was a process-related thing. I felt okay with what we did. It wasn't like I felt like I missed out on something huge or anything like that. RJ Hampton having a horrible game is probably what cost me the most on DraftKings, but anyway, ready to get after it tonight. I'm excited. It's a big slate, and we've got the live sweat show, as you mentioned, and golf coming up. It's a fun time to be alive. The tournament starts tomorrow. I'm even getting some brackets in, which I don't usually do, but got enough people around me who've sort of talked me into it. That's that. And we do have a lot going. Just one last little thing. We have a lot going on with in the Better Takes Discord these days. So I would encourage people to join it. I'm going to post the link to that now. We got a bunch of people to join yesterday, and it's something that we've been working on that I think has really helped. If you're betting regularly on sports, like this is something that is incredibly valuable. Or if you have a history of betting, you can download your history of bets, and it'll tell you sort of what your biases are. At least at the free tier of what we're doing. And all this is free right now that you can access. So I would encourage you guys to check it out in the App Store. And there's our link to our Discord. And with that said, we can get into tonight's slate.
Yep. One other quick announcement. I'm doing ultra on the fringe. I'm doing a live March Madness Survivor Pool video with Brave Jayhawk today at 3 o'clock. Got a lot of traction in that type of format this year. A bunch of people are asking me about survivor pools for NCAA, and it's very difficult to do. Join Brave Jayhawk and I talk about that at 3 o'clock today. And again, most of these things we're going to be doing are live now, so go ahead and bring questions, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Awesome. All right, let's pull up your screen and we'll go game by game, I guess.
Yep. Share my screen. And we'll build the winner right here. How about that?
All right. How about
because no news can change between now and 7:30.
Right. And by the way, I have noticed a weird, like kind of a disturbing trend of my early builds actually cashing, like for the minimum-ish, and like my adjustments to all the news not cashing. So just a little bit of a funny thing I thought I'd point out there. So
oh my God. Dude, I'm looking at the slate overview right now. Yeah. Literally, it's the first time I've refreshed and see what my projections look like. Boy, there are all kinds of names. Oh,
Oh,
this is good. This is gonna be fun.
yeah.
All right. Let's start, I guess, right off the bat. Miami, Memphis. This one is not one of the ones that I like. Actually, that's not true. You know who's showing up as a really good play? Actually, the better player. So Bam at 7,900 is showing up as a strong play, as are actually the two Memphis guys, Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson. I'm not getting to the Tyus Jones for some reason, but I can't imagine why I wouldn't. Well, because I guess they're playing Miami, I suppose, and that's where point guard fantasy points go to die usually, among others. But I see Bam as a good play. I see Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson as good plays. So I don't know. We can start with that. You like anything here?
I'm very disappointed. I cashed the other night with Jaren Jackson in my lineup at 8,500 on a small slate, and he had 15 fantasy points. That's a disturbing. That's one that'll get you, because that means basically if he gets his usual, or if he gets to 45 or something, man, I probably come in top 2 or 3 of that tournament. But it's such a poor matchup for these guys, but they did bring the prices down a little bit. Bain was kind of going off the other night, which I had him at no ownership, which felt good. My guess is by the end of the days, these guys may slide a little bit by the wayside. I think Bain, Jackson, and Bam are all fine. Probably worth noting that Jimmy Butler has been pretty awesome down the stretch of the season, and we sort of are getting playoff Jimmy a little bit earlier this year. So it's something I just like to keep an eye on. I mean, it's not that these scores are blowing away, but listen to his last games: 55, 44, 49, 46, 45, 49, 52. And in some of those games, like the Utah game, there's been some blowouts and some weird stuff, and some bad shooting nights in there. The usage is up for Jimmy. I think that's Jimmy is like the sneaky play I like from this game quite a bit. And the other sneaky one is taking hey, we could always take a chance on Kevin Love. I think this is actually an okay time to do it. So Butler, Bam, and Kevin Love as off the board plays. Bam and Brooks. I'm sorry, Bam and Bain and Jackson. I have those all okay, but I don't think it's totally uninteresting this game. I want to try to keep trying to get to Jimmy Butler, just because that playoff Jimmy Butler is a totally different person, and what they're playing for, they're playing every game like that, and they actually need him to kind of go off. So when you're below 9K and you're putting up 45 to 55 every night, it's kind of hard not to take you seriously a little bit in a competitive up-paced game. So that's where I'm at with this one. But we'll see where those guys rank by the time we get done with our lineups. Next up, you got Philadelphia, Cleveland. You want to start it off real quick?
Yeah, well, we have to see who's playing for Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell, questionable, and Jared Allen is now questionable. It's very important. Fortunately, it's the.
Should we revisit this one just in case? Because we tend to get that early morning shoot-around news for those teams, sometimes around like 12:15 or 12:30 even. But should we maybe revisit this one just because it's going to be hard? Like that's huge pieces of information that obviously we can help you out with later, but I don't know how to do it now. I guess we could try it. We could try it, Cheeks. Never mind. Sorry.
All I was going to say is that if Jared Allen is not playing, I don't know who else is playing, whatever. But I've said this, unfortunately, way too many times in the past couple of months without it paying off for me. But if Jared Allen is not playing, I mean, how many points does Embiid get? The usual question is as many as he wants, but the usual answer is as many as he wants. But
well, the weird part is the guy who's going to be playing instead of him is a much better defender than he is. So Evan Mobley is one of the best, probably 6 or 7 defenders in the NBA. I don't think it's an upgrade for Embiid at all to have Jared Allen out.
Okay.
I think Jared Allen's the true center, which is why he does it. But Mobley will slide right over, and Mobley's actually a better Jared Allen's a great help defender, decent on-ball defender. I think Bam is I think the better defender is Mobley. Maybe I'm a year early saying that, but I do think he's one of the best 6 or 7 defenders in the league.
The one issue that Embiid has had with his ceiling has been rebounds, and I don't know. I just feel as though without the biggest guy on the court there, Embiid can just get as many rebounds as he wants. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't even want to get rebounds anymore. Who knows?
Seems like he's on the scoring trend these days for some reason. He hasn't had double-digit rebounds in the last 7 games. That's pretty crazy for a guy who might win MVP now. It's starting to trend towards him, by the way, which I hope you guys got that 12-1 bet. I have a friend who I got in on it with, but the 12-1 Embiid to win MVP, man, he's got a shot. Anyway, sorry, Sheets, go ahead.
No, that's pretty much all I had from this game for now. You know, as you mentioned, I mean, if Garland's out, if Mitchell's out, then it's back to the same guys who busted yesterday. And if Allen is out, it's back to Mobley again. If Allen and Mitchell are in, I probably avoid it, with the exception of maybe Embiid anyway. You know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, well, not everybody. I mean, Karis LeVert went absolutely ballistic, as he often does. He put up 50.
Right.
You're obviously playing Karis LeVert and not even thinking about it if Mitchell's out. I actually have right now, like the projected NBA.com lineups are that Jared Allen will be out, and right now they have Mitchell in. That one more seems, obviously subject to change. But if they're already assuming that Jared Allen's out, I'm going to go ahead and just pretend that for the sake of this, which I think Mobley is actually like he's in play. It's just such a bad matchup for him. You know what I mean? And I'm not really crazy about Embiid. I actually think if Mitchell plays, that would be my favorite play in this game. And I think Mitchell will play because it was a rest management thing. I think Mitchell is sort of in the Jimmy Butler mold of you have a really competitive game. You're at home and you're sort of in a position where, you're really trying to win every game down the stretch. You had the night off last night. These guys played. And by the way, maybe somebody else sits who played last night. But I think Donovan Mitchell is like a really good sneaky play. Now, where will he end at the end of the slate? I don't know. But I do think Mitchell is certainly interesting. And I'm going to have some exposure to Mobley if Jared Allen's out. I don't know what exposure that'll be, but I do know that I'll have some. And nothing on the Philly side quite makes sense to me. If you want to play Harden or if you want to play Embiid, it's always fine. But this is a terrible matchup, and I'm not going to be doing it. All right. Next up, what do we have? You have the Boston game?
No.
Oh, you have the Sacramento, Chicago. Ooh, this should be a high scoring game. I'm actually surprised the total's not even higher. It's pretty high, but I thought it'd be even higher. All right, Cheats, what do you got? What do you got in this one?
So Chicago, I see Kobe White and Alex Caruso being kind of good point per dollar plays. I look at the value first. And on Sacramento, I see Harrison Barnes again as a good point per dollar play. As I also see Trey Lyles as decent as well. But then with the spend ups, Sabonis at 10-1. He rates pretty decently. Fox is tempting though, under the 9K mark, 8,900. So that makes sense. The Chicago guys, DeRozan 8,300 is rates okay. Vooch 8,200 rates okay. Even Levine, I wouldn't play like multiple of those guys together, but I think that I think you can do some business this game. Actually, I wasn't thinking of that at first, and I don't know why I wasn't, but I think you're right. I think this is. I don't know what the total. What's the total here? 240. I mean, it's got to be pretty big.
It's it's 236.5.
I mean, it can't be more than that, right? So it's a 236. But
I actually thought this would have been a game that I could have seen be 240. That's why I was surprised. I was sort of joking, but yes, you're right.
But yeah, this game could definitely deliver. As a matter of fact, I mean, this is so far the best game, I think. Mm-hmm. Presumably you don't get all the values coming out of Cleveland again. So yeah. But where do you prefer to take it from the starters, or from say the Kobe Whites, Alex Caruso's, and likewise, do you prefer to get Fox Sabonis, or do you want to go to those to the Barnes / Trey Lyles cheapos?
So I think that the Barnes thing, look, I'm not going to say he won't end up in a lineup, but I'm just going to tell you guys, This guy every day projects for what, like 5.5x or so, a little higher than that usually, and which basically puts him right, close to like in the 28 range, 27. This guy hasn't scored above 27 or scored over 28 other than one time in the last 20 games. Like, it just feels like beating your head against a wall. If he fits into a stack, that's why I say I might have some of them tonight. I love this game stack. I think that Fox, the other guys I mentioned were more like off the board, like Jimmy Butler and Donovan Mitchell. I actually think Fox, just as regular plays, Fox at 8,900. I don't know why the early ownership projections have him as low as they do. I can definitely get on board with that. I can definitely get on board with Sabonis. And those guys are going to be unowned. And then I can I guess it's going to be because the games that are coming up that they're not going to be owned. But you get a stack of this game with the value. I think it makes sense. I actually don't mind playing two guys, two of the studs from Chicago, maybe with even a cheap guy. Caruso would be in terms of which guys you prefer, it would depend on your build. Like if I was stacking a game up, I would rather play Caruso because that means I'm probably playing one of the offensive scorers elsewhere, and Caruso can get there from all the other fringe stuff. But if I was going to just like play like, okay, nobody from this game, Kobe White would be my preferred play for upside. But DeRozan, LaVine, and LaVine, and to a lesser extent Vooch, are all interesting to me to run back with it. I don't know who I'm playing from this game yet. I just know that I'd like to get a stack of this game in, at least into one of my big buy-ins at the very least, because this is one I could see going nuts. And every time I play a Sacramento on both sides, I never feel bad about it. I never regret it. Even if it doesn't work out, like you're getting into to games that are just like, sometimes the games are like 140 to 138. Like, it's just like you just get these absurd totals. The problem with Sacramento about playing their guys is they have a lot of really good basketball players. And they're sort of tightening up their playoff rotations, and Trey Lyles has sort of seemed like he's been a part of it. If Trey Lyles is out, I think that opens up a few more minutes for some of these other guys, but I'm not sure it matters. I just think this is a game you want to focus on this slate for sure, along with the game we're probably going to talk about, and not the next one, but the one maybe it is the next one. What do you have next? You've got the Boston, Minnesota next. Okay, well, so it's 2 games away.
Yeah, so Boston, Minnesota, we got all kinds of bigs issues here. So you have Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid both questionable. So obviously we got to keep an eye on that. And I think that if one of them is out, the other one is going to be a good play. Almost a great play, actually. If both of them are out, then what do we have? Luke Garza, Nathan Knight. So we got to keep an eye on that. I imagine, like you said,
I don't think we really need to spend much of a time keeping an eye on it. If Gobert's out, I think it would be kind of a shocker at this point. I just think it's like a question. It's like a Q tag like we get with AD at this point. Like,
well, this is what you mentioned the other day.
He played, and he would have played 1,000,000 minutes, but they won by they were up by 40 points in that game or something.
Yeah,
5 points.
The other thing about this game is that Robert Williams is out. So with Robert Williams being out, then you have. Oh, wait a minute. So
he's been out for a while.
So he's been out. So Horford has been okay. I'm not playing Blake Griffin ever again. Tatum looks like a decent enough play at 11-1. Again, there's not a lot of. I don't know. There's not a lot of. I guess there are a decent amount of fantasy points. I shouldn't say that. So Tatum looks like a decent play. Aside from that, I don't really see what else I want to do in this game. What do you like here?
I mean, Tatum, sure, I guess. I can't see doing that personally. Jaylen Brown would be clearly the guy for me, as he was the other night. If you do play Tatum, I don't think a lot of people are going to play him. It's very hard to play Tatum and Embiid at the same price.
True.
I have the same thing I basically always have for Boston. Everybody is fine. Somebody's going to get there. Jaylen Brown is my favorite. Not a whole lot else to do with him, in my opinion. Like I don't think anybody makes the priority list for me. I think Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Malcolm Brogdon. The problem is they all just cut into each other. All of those guys are fine, but nobody who stands out as a priority. maybe if I had to pick one of those guys, I guess Derek White would be my second favorite. But it's really just like, it's all over. It's up in the air. I think on the Minnesota side, I absolutely love Rudy Gobert tonight. I don't really understand why the projection is as low as it is on him. Maybe a little hedging because of the possible injury, I guess. But like, especially if Naz Reid is out, like Gobert, that last game, don't forget, Gobert didn't play in the fourth quarter. He played 29 minutes, so he lost at least 7 or 8 minutes. So that means he probably ends up with 50 plus for back-to-back games. I think that's what you're going to see a little bit, down the stretch. And the problem is Horford can bring you away from the basket. So can all the guys they'll bring in, and that could hurt his rebounding numbers. But at first glance, Gobert I really like, and I don't know. There's the terrain. I'm not going to play the terrain Prince value and that stuff. At least as of right now, that's not my plan. So Gobert and Brown being my two guys I would be using from this game, but nothing I don't have anybody yet I would put as a total priority, except for making sure to get Sacramento and Chicago stacked some ways. All right, what do we got next? Now we do have the Laker game, right?
Yep. So good on the Lakers for at least announcing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we appreciate that.
So basically they just, he's been playing a lot. They want to give him a break. So that's why they've been giving him his foot thing probable every day. So that now they have the authority to just rule him out because of a foot injury, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with him out, we have Wendell Gabriel and Jared Vanderbilt, I presume, going to take over that type of stuff. And so I'm getting Wendell Gabriel with a 6x plus projection. I'm getting Jared Vanderbilt, even though at 5,900, he looks pretty good. And then like the usage guys, I guess D'Angelo Russell would just kind of, just continue what he's been doing, which is pretty decent. So I like D'Angelo Russell. I like Wendell Gabriel and Jared Vanderbilt. And on Houston now again, good on DraftKings again. They priced up these Houston guys now. The even though they weren't that cheap before, like the Jalen Greens and the Jabari Smiths.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And Kevin Porter. I mean, I thought they were kind of tough to play when I played them the other day at 6,700, and now they're at 71. You know what I mean? So they kind of priced those guys out of my range here. So I guess although you'd like to stack with this type of value, but I don't know. What do you like? I do like those 3 Lakers, and is this the time we're supposed to overpay for one of these Houston guys? And if so, which one?
Yeah, these are all really good questions. So I like so just the Gabriel projection. I think it's like the projection on SaberSim clearly has it that they think Gabriel's going to be starting. My guess is that they probably start Hachimura, because it's not just AD who's gone. There's no Thomas Bryant either. You know what I mean? So we don't have the usual rotation. Obviously, this game is a game the Lakers would like to win. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but this is another important game. They showed up big time against New Orleans, and I think they would like to win this game. I think Gabriel. I'd like to wait to see the starting lineup personally, and since I don't have a whole lot of stuff that I love so much, maybe I'm going to be able to do that because the Bulls and Sacramento are my other favorite things so far. Because I really like whichever one of it is, whichever one starts, and if Hachimura is off the bench, I'll load up on him either way. So I guess I actually am making Rui just a priority, period, because I think that there's definitely a path for him to have a really big game here. The problem is to see him matching up with Şengün. I don't really know how that works out. But Vanderbilt I like, but I think is probably being overprojected. It's a great game environment for him, but he's not a guy who's going to go out there and score 20 points in real life. Like you're counting on him getting all the intangible, all the fringe, stuff. This guy doesn't take shots. He took 4 or 3 in his last 2 games. And it's hard for him to really hit a ceiling unless he gets like a bunch of steals and blocks, but this is that kind of matchup. But to play him as chalk just feels a little reckless. I think Malik Beasley is a wild card, but the one that I'm absolutely fine using. So I have Beasley. I have it rated Gabriel or Rui, whichever one's starting is the obvious play. but I'm interested in both off the bench, especially Rui. And I think D'Angelo Russell or Beasley, but I think you could even play both of them together in a stack. The only problem is you might get Schroeder minutes are going to get mixed up in there too. And I love Schroeder, but he's just not cheap enough. So I have Gabriel, Rui, D-Russ, or Beasley as my early priorities. And then I want to see what happens with Şengün. If Şengün is out again, I'll go back to Tari Eason and the rest of the Jalen Green, Kevin Porter. I'll have exposure to all these guys. And if he's in, I actually think that this is the first time in a while I kind of want to play Şengün. That's just where I'm at. We haven't seen him. Like you said, he doesn't close a lot of the time. There's some things to be concerned with there. I don't really understand what Houston's not really playing for or against anything. They're going to try to win tonight, I think. And everybody wants to beat the Lakers when the Lakers come to town. So as of right now, I've got it. I actually have it Jalen Green, Şengün, Kevin Porter Jr., but I could mix those up in any order. And I like Jabari, I really like, but I am having a hard time believing that he's going to go 5 for 6 from 3 every night. However, no one's playing a guy who's scoring 50 fantasy points every night at 6,800. I think we have to at least include him. So the main thing for me was very similar to the Chicago-Sacramento game. I think this is a game that's a very, very good game to stack. I just don't know how I'm stacking it yet. And the Lakers starting lineup will dictate part of that, and whether Şengün plays will dictate the rest of it. So I just think it's overall a really, really good game to attack. Great pace, great environment, no defense. A bunch of value. It just seems like a very, very easy game to target. And also, I think there's ways you could target it in ways that will keep off of the chalk. And right now, no one's showing up. But I promise you, if Şengün is out and whoever's starting for the Lakers, if it's Gabriel, you're going to have a ton of chalk in some spots of this game. So
I have a question. What is the spread of this game?
I believe it is Lakers by 3.5.
Okay. I haven't given out an NBA sports bet in like a while.
You want to take Houston?
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll take it.
Yeah, we're in for $1.
I'm on the other side? I actually liked your Houston pick.
Good. We're on the same side. Oh, I thought you said, you want Houston, I'll take it. Oh, okay.
I wish you watched my bets every day. No one in history has ever bet against the Lakers as much as I have this year. They were so bad against the spread. It's just hard for me not to do it. But I'll take the Lakers tonight. Whatever, sure, I'll take the Lakers.
Well, you know what's cool though. I mean, is that I kind of want Şengün to be playing just because he's a good player. And if this spread is like Lakers by 3.5 right now, if Şengün plays, it's not going to move at all. You know what I mean? So I'll just wait. You know what I mean? Like if Şengün plays, I'll just probably bet it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And then we have to just figure out who's playing. But again, this game is the other priority stacking game. Although we're going to talk about something in a minute, and this is where all the ownership is going to be. So why don't you start this one off? Because I mentioned, I just want to point. Like I said before, I mentioned last time they played that San Antonio plays so many guys hard to get there. They had 9 guys with flame emojis in the last game they played. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. How can you have 9 guys go off in one game? And they were like, some of them like huge flames. Just throwing that out there.
Well, let's start over. So you have, I'm looking at the San Antonio just DraftKings pane here, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys listed as questionable. Not to mention these other guys and the Bassi being out. So why don't we take a quick look? So I have no idea whether Keldon Johnson's playing, right?
My guess is yes, but this is a guess.
Vassell is now questionable.
I would doubt that Vassell plays.
You doubt Vassell plays. Sohan, I mean, we just don't know, right?
Sohan, I would be surprised if he plays.
Trey Jones is ruled out for an illness or a.
I would bet Trey Jones plays tonight. My guess.
And the Branham with
I
the
would bet he doesn't play tonight.
Yeah, so we
just these are just guesses.
We just kind of have to wait, okay, to see what's going on. But I will say, just because, I've been waiting to say this, but the current point per dollar champion as of 12/32, not knowing who's playing, is of course Sandro Mamukelashvili.
Pretty good, by the way. You got it exactly right.
Hey, you know what? I do enough MMA.
It's really pronunciation.
The Kalashvilis I'm pretty good at, actually.
Yeah.
So he's currently the 6.7x point per dollar play. And then the easy one to pronounce, the Blake Wesley at 3,200 is the 6x. But all of this is stupid without knowing who's playing. So unfortunately, it's 8:30. So we're going to have to do something about that.
Very uncomfortable zone we're in here, Sheets. I don't know what to do with this game. I really don't, without knowing. I'm hoping we get news earlier in the day from them. The NBA sort of has warned them in the past about being late and weird with their substitutions going back years. So they've been a little bit better about letting some of us know like an hour or 2 hours before. But even that's kind of annoying. It's really hard to break down. You have like nobody projected to score 30 fantasy points, which is really hard to do in the NBA. Somebody should always project to score 30 fantasy points. I guess that Keldon Johnson just barely scratches it, but that depends on whether he plays. I don't know what to do with this.
Well, but if you didn't like any of that, you have Kyrie Irving who's not going to play.
Are we convinced on that? Are we sure on that one?
It says right here as of like 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
Irving said it's not looking good for him to play Wednesday against the Spurs.
Oh boy. Okay.
That's what Kyrie says. Kyrie is very, very trustworthy and very
yeah.
He's the guy I'm looking for information. Nonetheless, it's not looking good for him to play. And I have a Q tag as well on Tim Hardaway Jr. And just for a good measure, I have a Q tag on Christian Wood. So
that actually makes it a little bit easier on us in a way, because that means we have to play Jalen Hardy again.
Because that means we have to play Jalen Hardy.
So that means we're already reserving one later spot. That means we have to play Josh. Well, we don't have to play Josh Green, but we probably should play Josh Green again.
Probably should play Josh Green. Are we going to have to play Reggie Bullock at the end of the day?
I didn't feel like we had to play him the other day. I think today is a better day to use him, because then you play him for you trade him for the better value on San Antonio, right?
And then if the Christian Wood doesn't play,
it'll be the same as the other day. But if Wood and Hardaway are gone, then I think we might have to consider somebody else from Dallas, like a Bullock, just because of the minutes. And there's got to be some usage elsewhere other than just Hardy and Green. It can't just be two guys. Like,
it could be. Yeah. Kleber's not really going to do it. I mean,
I would keep, but that's what I would use though. Is like I feel like if you get stuck with it, whatever. But like you can always switch over, and I probably will hold like. I think that if I had to pick right now, this feels so gross.
How about M. Wright the fourth?
But also, San Antonio has like guys who can play. Like these guys all played a bunch of minutes the other night. Like they all played like 20-something minutes. So it's not like you're getting like a guaranteed like run out of everybody. I don't know. Maybe Trey Jones is probably just a simple answer, along with one of the value pieces. Langford, no, maybe. I don't know, man. I got news for us. I can't, unless like all these guys are out on Cleveland. You can't play anybody from these first two games. Maybe, but I don't agree, because I don't know that the Spurs situation is this grand situation.
Between the Dallas guys and the Spurs guys and the possible Minnesota stuff, I don't think 7:30 is in the cards for me. These two games, unless the Cleveland guys are out.
That always does make things easier, right? Like,
yeah.
But I just don't know what you're feeling great about with San Antonio. Like, so let me just go through like everybody who feels good. And I played Devontae Graham a little bit the other night too, and I felt, oh, what a play! But he played 24 minutes. He put up 35 fantasy points. You know what I mean? Just the guy had an outlier-ish game. That was without Trey Jones. Trey Jones hasn't played more than 25 minutes in months. So give Trey Jones 25 minutes. Okay, is that enough? If all these guys, I mean, they have 12 guys they're going to be able to play. Even if these guys sit, they've got like 16 guys available that they can just bring up. So I don't know, man. Like Dominic Barlow played 11 minutes in the last game. Blake Wesley played 23. Do I feel good about playing him off the bench? if I'm going to play any of them, I play probably the guys whose names I know, like McDermott. Unless any of these other guys are starting, I don't like any of the Spurs value, but I know I have to probably hold some spots in case, all of these guys are out or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to revisit this one at 6 Eastern because I really don't know what to do with it.
All right, so you show up at 11 o'clock for the live sweat, right? And then you get the second half of Golden State against the Clippers, and you have Kawhi Leonard at 9K. I just want to mention something. I mean, if you asked me like a year ago, like what's going on with Kawhi, I thought literally he was out of basketball. You know what I mean? Like he takes whole seasons off, takes 3, plays every third game, and when he plays like 4 minutes. I guess he knew what he was doing because he's playing like 40 minutes a night. It's like amazing in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah, except for the year after the surgery. Actually, he's always played minutes. I just want to defend it.
Yeah. So this it's good enough for me. I don't know. I like this, and I like the Paul George, and Curry at 10-5. I don't know, but I'm gonna have something. I'll tell you this. So I will definitely have something with this game. And I don't like any of the value really or anything like that, but I'll be damned if I don't have something going in that one.
Yeah, I'm very into both Kawhi and Paul George. I think one of the two I'll choose, but I'm totally good with splitting those guys up in my lineups. I really like both of them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And just for those people who have been watching, like they have cut Westbrook's minutes for the most part. There probably still is an outlier game in him where he can go out there and get 50 plus. I don't think this is the time necessarily. I would bet on it, but it's not the worst idea in the world at literally less than 1% ownership. So I do like those two guys, and then I'd like to get some exposure on the other side. Curry seems expensive. Klay Thompson can just go out and make 10 threes again. I don't know. Draymond. This is like a
I don't think so. I think we're just supposed to take one of Paul George and Kawhi by themselves.
I don't know about the Draymond thing. I think the Draymond is he's projecting really well. Like it's a pretty decent. It's a decent spot. Like the Clippers defense has been just probably have they been the worst in the league alongside the Kings since lately? They're right there. They're playing lightning quick with Westbrook there. I think this is a good Draymond Green spot. So I will have Draymond Green on there, but I do have, pick one of Paul or Kawhi as a priority. And then I have, assuming that Kyrie's out, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, clear priorities. Yep. One of Russell or Beasley at least. One of Wenyen Gabriel or Rui. Definitely something from Houston. I just don't know who's playing yet, so I'd like to figure that one out. Chicago, Sacramento as a stack. I like that. I like that. Like every piece of that game, just not necessarily like on their own, but I like them as a stack. Gobert, Jaylen Brown, Evan Mobley, Mitchell and Butler as low-owned options, Bane and Triple J, Bam. Those are the guys I wrote down from this morning, and I'll have it more fine-tuned by this afternoon when we go live at 6:30. But that's what I've got for now.
One of the things about D'Angelo Russell that makes him work as well is that he is shooting guard eligible, I believe. So this way, like you could play him with Hardy and stuff like that, if that's what it comes down to. Paul George, you probably wouldn't want to use at shooting guard. You probably want to use him at small forward. So you have Paul George at small forward, and then you have Kawhi small forward as well. You could. I think that if Hardy opens up, Hardy did, or he opened up. You know what I mean? Like
he opened up.
Hardy's in. That's probably it.
As long as that is true. As long as we don't have what's his name.
Right. And like I said, very, very reliable.
By the way, needless to say, if somehow Kyrie changes his mind or does whatever,
then he's like a lot. That's right.
Yeah, you want to play Kyrie as the stand-up, for sure. What a weird little idiot that guy. Look, Jaden Hardy projecting at a crisp 40 fantasy points.
There you go, huh?
100. He's gonna end up being like the guy who projects at 8x at 5. I don't know if we've ever seen a guy project. Oh, we have. Naz Reid has the record. He once projected at 4K 55 fantasy points.
Is that true?
On Roto Grinders, we thought it was a mistake, and I was like, Well, he's flipped 60 or more 3 times.
What did he get, 70? I mean, like,
yeah, I think he ended up somewhere around 60. But yeah, it should be a fun slate. There's it's kind of fun when you can try to avoid this San Antonio stuff. It's going to be harder now because you're going to want to play the Dallas side. But I think you have 3 natural, Sheets has been talking about this stuff a little bit lately. Something that I've always done in NBA is to try to get the run backs, and to try to get a stack if all things being close to equal, to try and find game stacks. I like the Chicago, Sacramento. I like the Lakers and Houston, and I like Dallas and San Antonio. I just don't know who to play from San Antonio.
I would go back to the Lakers, Houston, just because I think we would require a little more like multiple lineups, because I really think that at those prices you can't really. I would say you can't, but it's hard to play 2 of those guys from Houston together.
Yeah.
So you'd have to probably play 3 different lineups: one with Smith, one with Porter, one with Green. Not to mention Sengun. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I just want to say, I'm going to post my stuff later. I told everybody this is going to happen more this time of year because we've seen why. I mean, it happens every day. By the time, literally between the time we're done recording and then 4 Eastern, there's 10 pieces of news. So I'm just posting my stuff a little later, a little closer, to try and give you guys a little bit more of an accurate representation rather than giving you the earliest first look. You can use this as the first look and then use my early builds and everything. At least they'll be a little bit more sophisticated if we do it a little bit later in the day.
Yeah.
All right, Sheets. Anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, it's good enough.
Can you hang on for 1 second?